pullback is pretty much complete there in the SPYs. This was post State of the Union move, took us through 240. We've been drifting lower ever since. Pre-market, we were actually down on 236.20, which is a pretty good spot to get long. Prior to that breakout, we spent about a week. Average price during that week was probably around 230.70, 236.40. But any sort of flush close to the 36 area against 235.5 is a great risk reward for move back up to 238 to 239. So we want to definitely be long there. I've already entered in automated script to get long as we approach 236 for myself. So that's on that side. On the IWM side, we've been talking, has been showing the relative weakness, but this one too, down enough that we'd want to look to get long. It was very messy. We had these two big moves up into the 137 prior to just coming down very hard into sub 135. So it gets a little bit tricky here. But 137.5 down to 135.5, that's where you want to kind of start at getting long more aggressively into the 135 area. And IWM is always going to be a little bit more shaky than SPY because of just the nature of the small caps versus large caps in SPY. But still, I think it's worth picking up some of this if they flush this one down to the. Look at the pre-market, 35.5 earlier. So, some sort of push right on the open, maybe a failure here, a flush through the pre-market low, a test, get long. Confirmation of a reversal would be a hold back above 136. You want to sell a good portion of that into 137, and then you can swing the rest. And then what complicates things a little bit is the move in oil. Oil has been consolidating for quite some downside. Nice job by Shark and some others getting short on the break of this consolidation. It was a very clean move. Followed through with a gap down this morning. Now it's a bit overdone. The price of oil is $49.60. Maybe it has a little bit more near-term downside, but certainly this one is worth looking for a bounce as well. I didn't pick some up this morning into 1040. I'm bidding actually 1045, but I have a little bit that I bought yesterday, and I wanted to get really more aggressive kind of into this area here. Let's see. People did pick some up at 1040. It hasn't really bounced that much, so hopefully we'll get a flush on the open, and we'll just go straight up. 1040 though to 1045, picking some up in this area here is pretty good against $10.30. All right, so we have a couple of good things today. Stocks are a little bit thinner. They're not very thick stocks, but there's some pretty good news items. Let's start with TLRD. So here's the daily on this. The guidance for next year was just horrendous. We know this was a $60 stock. They beat it down to the mid-teens and spent about a year consolidating. And then recently, after that 1 year consolidation between 12 and 17.5, 18, gapped up to the high 20s. So, there's probably a good portion of people who got in above this 25 gap here, which it looks like was last quarter's earnings. Man, somebody's got to take a close look at these guys' books. They're guiding. I guess they were guiding up last quarter, and they had a huge guide to the upside, and then all of a sudden they're guiding down. It's a little shady. But regardless, some people here are still long. It did come off and fill this gap. Once it filled this gap, I imagine a bunch of people got long here above 22. The question is really, are they incentivized enough for the gap down to the 16, 17 area to hit the bids? But certainly the guidance itself was bad enough that you would think a lot of long players would say enough's enough with this one. Plus the fact that last quarter it's gapping up and then it's gapping down. You got to start to be nervous about the management of the company, what's really going on there. So that'll probably play itself out over the next couple of days. Okay, so let's zoom in on the pre-market action. All right, so far, I think what I put on the sheet was 17.5 to 18. I figured the same thing that happened in the after hours yesterday. They dropped it down to 16. They spiked it up to 17.5, 18. That's the same spot I'd be looking to be short, right on the oak. Puts in the high on the oak, gets back down below 17 and holds. Look to be short into 16. At 16, you want to be cautious. Risk reward being short down there is a little bit tricky until it takes out that low, if in fact does. Certainly being short from here into here is fine. And if it closes below 16, ride it out for the next couple of days to see if it has some more downside follow through. The next one is SMTC. SMTC had a small beat, but they guided up over 10%, which I thought is really driving this one. It is in the semiconductor sector, which has been the strongest sector in the market. All right, so if we go back over the last few years, it had peaked out here summer of 2013 at 36. They cut it in half, a little bit more, came into this longer term support at 16, actually went through it, then started pushing its way back up. It has a catalyst to kind of take out this prior high and perhaps work its way up to $40. So this one normally only trades 500,000 shares a day, so it's going to be definitely thinner. Got to be a little bit careful with the sizing on this one. Liquidity may disappear at times. Looking at the daily chart, it very rarely trades over 1 million. Even when it had a large gap up in the 30 area, it traded about 2.5 million shares. So looking at this morning, perhaps a quick flush down to 37, 36.80, something like that. Then that gives you the good risk reward for move back up to the pre-market high. Closes above 38. You stay long it for a move over the next couple of days, similar to like what Momo did yesterday. The next one is HZN, Horizon. This is another one with a huge guide down. They guided down 30%. Right now it is down around 20%. So clearly this is in play with the 30% guide down this 14 area where it gapped up to back in August. All right, so far, I'll zoom in a little bit more. It was printing down below $13. What did I put on the sheet? I put 13 and 13 and a quarter as support. It's up to 14 now. Down 20%. Let's go back to the daily for a second. topped out at 26, 14, 40-something percent. I guess the way I would look at it here is if it's after the open, if it's actually holding above $14, I'd be looking for a move back up to this consolidation area here from August. Where it was around 15.5 or so. Again, this one is as well. Normally does around 400,000 shares. It did do back in when it gapped down. It actually has a history of rallying. It gapped down to 17 and it rallied to 19. And it actually only did about 2.2 million shares that day. Then a couple of days later, maybe they did a secondary or something. It did almost 5 million shares. So it's possible it could do 2+ million shares today. It looks like they're on a conference call right now. The next one is L. It's another all these stocks normally do under 500,000 shares. Similar to, they do cosmetics. They're growing like gangbusters. They're projecting 20% year over year, 2 years, increasing margins every single year. That's why this one's gapping up to 30. So I guess my thought, like on this one, let me just go to the one day. Here was the initial move. Same with this one, a flush down to 29 right on the open, a little bit lower. You could look at it on the long side. Again, but be careful with 400,000 average daily share. There's a reason it's number 4. I think the first 3 things we talked about are going to be better risk reward. But you could have a script in here to get long, risk 50 cents, and see if it actually pushes back up into the 30s. And then finally, AAL I put on here, they did their monthly volume. If we take a quick look at the daily, we know that the airline sector had a huge comeback in no small too. Buffett putting on positions in all those stocks. After topping out in the 50s a couple of years ago, they overshot to the downside. This came all the way down to 25. Each time it's come into the 50 area here, we've talked about getting short it. It's worked, but it's spending a decent amount of time consolidating here between 44 and 50. And so we want to watch, as long as it doesn't break through this area here, buying into this weakness to here, 46, 47. So this is more of kind of a swing. So sold off hard from 46.5 the other day to 44.40. It's below there right now. So maybe a flush right on 44, and then we'll see if it kind of pops back up to this 45, 45.20 where it's failed the last couple of days. And HRB. So this one overshot to the upside, I think, is more a function of the fact that it was down from the 30s to 20 than anything being that special about the numbers. Takes out 24.30 today. Maybe it makes the move to 25. It's trading below 23.80. Look for it to pull back up to 23 or so. Snap. Okay, so Snap had the big up move right after the IPO and then the big 2-day down move. Now caught a bid in the 21 area. Actually got through 23 in the afternoon. It's made a couple of higher lows. I think people are looking at it. They're thinking 23.5, 24. Kind of push its way into that and maybe start to move sideways. I think that's what you're looking at there. And then finally, VRX is doing a bond offering today. We talked about it yesterday as well. The beat down from $16, $15 down to 11.5. Bottomed a couple of mornings ago on the open. Bottomed yesterday on the open. So notice when something bottoms in the first 30 minutes, it means that most of the sell-through is gone. There's people starting to accumulate it. So see, bottomed 11.40. Didn't really bounce. Just people passively accumulating, not buying aggressively. Bottomed here a little bit higher yesterday. And this morning, same thing. Look to see if on the open if it bottoms a little bit higher, maybe 11.70 or so. Maybe it worked its way back up to this 12.5 here. Right, and then AUPH I thought was a good long yesterday. I saw some people on the desk got long it. I like the way that it got above the prior day's high. It never took off, but I like how this looks here. I mean, it went up. I think we were looking to buy it on this day into a pullback here. It just kept, and then lost track of it. It slowly worked its way up. Um, but look, the general thing is with a low price stock, if it has real good news, if the news is real, and it gaps the first day and it's too much and people take profits, you really want to look for over the next few days for it to work its way back up. And now it's consolidating above 6.5, above 730 from yesterday, $8 to $10 is what you potentially could be looking at. So.
Hope you enjoyed that video. You can actually watch that video if you're subscribed to our Trader 90 before the market even opens. What stocks are in play? What levels in those stocks are important? And how we might go about attacking that stock. That's Steve Spencer, 20-year veteran trader, laying it out there every morning before the market even opens. A really, really powerful tool to start your session off on the right foot. So right now we're offering a trial that you can take advantage of to access this meeting and other meetings throughout the day. We have a meeting at 11 a.m. Eastern where you can sit down with Mike Bellafiore and listen to him talk about what's going on during the morning session, what stocks were in play, what the best trade opportunities were, as well as maybe some things that we're looking at heading into the afternoon session. So I really encourage you to take advantage of that trial.